In this video, I'm going to show you how to do some translations out of the book with biconditionals, namely number 1 out of the textbook. Let's get into it.
Number 1 says this: our justice system works if and only if witnesses are willing to come forward. J, if and only if, that means double arrow. F, our justice system works if and only if witnesses are willing to come forward. Now what this means is, if our justice system works, then witnesses are willing to come forward, and if witnesses are willing to come forward, then the justice system works. Let's take a look at B. If and only if, oh no, it starts with if and only if. Well, that means go ahead and just write the double arrow down. Whatever follows it really can go on either side, but I'm going to do it as it comes. If and only if it is a motion on racial research is approved by a majority of the AAA membership, will it become the official position of the American Anthropological Association? So if and only if this, what was left? This. Let's look at 1C here. I'll let you pay for the meal, just in case. What does that mean? That's another way of saying if and only if. As soon as you see it, just make a double arrow. I'll let you pay for the meal, just in case you allow me to leave the tip. What does that mean? If you're paying for the meal, then I'm paying for the tip, and if I'm paying for the tip, you're paying for the meal. Again, any of these double arrows, you could actually write it the other way. This is just as correct for number 1. This is just as correct for number 2. This is just as correct for number 3. Because double arrows doesn't matter what order they come in. D, I will read Grimm's logic qualifier, but only if the first 2 readers disagree. Or A would stand for the first 2 readers agree. Well, there's an only if there. Is that an arrow or a double arrow? That's not if and only if, it's just plain only if. That's an arrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write exactly like it is. It says, I will read Grimm's logic only if. That button there means nothing. It's just there. But only if, so what? Only if, just draw an arrow right over it. Only if what? The first 2 readers disagree. Now, A would stand for they agree. So he wants them to disagree. That's squiggle A. He says, these 2 statements are equivalent if and only if each entails the other. Okay, so we've got their equivalent. If and only if there's a double arrow, each one entails the other. So A stands for S2 entails S4, B stands for S4 entails S2. How am I going to write that? Well, they're equivalent if and only if this thing's true, S2 entails S4, and S4 entails S2. Bam, there it is. Let's take a look at F now. We got this. The assistantship will be offered to McGraw if and only if he does not get a tuition waiver. Stop, because there's a semicolon there. How many things to the left of that semicolon? 2, so I know they're going to be in parentheses. Okay, let's go back and just fill it in. The assistantship will be offered to McGraw if and only if, that means M, if and only if is a double arrow. If what? He does not get a tuition waiver. After that semicolon it says and, which means what's coming after that parentheses is a dot. And then it says it will be offered to Spiegelman if not offered to McGraw. So, just revealed what's on the right side of this dot is an arrow. I saw that if not offered to McGraw. So it goes on the left side of this arrow, not offered to McGraw, then it goes to Spiegelman. So here's what this is saying. If McGraw's got it, then he doesn't have a tuition waiver. And if he doesn't have a tuition waiver, then McGraw's got it. But also, if it's not offered to McGraw, then it's going to be offered to Spiegelman. G, Greta's father will donate the kidney she needs, but not unless he's here, that is in the United States. So what that means is there's 2 scenarios. I want you to think about it this way. There's 2 scenarios going on, and that's what this problem is. There's 2 arrows, both going on at the same time. So really the problem is a dot of 2 scenarios, 2 arrows. So I want you to think about it this way. It says that but unless in here. So here are the 2 scenarios. And really, I suppose, the order of them does not really matter. So just think about it. So either one of these arrows could come first. Let's take a look at this. If he's here, what's he going to do? Oh, he's going to donate that kidney. If he's not here, what's he going to do? Oh, well then he's not going to donate that kidney. That's what this is. That's what this means when it says he will donate the kidney she needs, but not unless he's here. That's what's going on here. It's saying if he is here, he'll do it. If he's not here, he won't do it. H says no receipt will be furnished except by written request. Now, I suppose there's 2 ways of looking at this one. I'm going to do what I think is the most obvious here. So here's what I've got. Except is another way of saying unless. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. So whatever follows unless then, and in this case except, goes on the left side of an arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow here with a squiggle in front of it. Okay, so what follows except? W, and I'm going to stick a squiggle in front of it. What's left? No receipt will be furnished. So in other words, if you don't have a written request, then you won't have a receipt furnished for you. So in other words, another even simpler way of saying it is, If you don't ask for it, you're not getting a receipt. I'm not going to expect you to be able to do, but it's actually way simpler than it looks. And for whatever reason, your book is quoting Kofi Annan here, being verbose. If all of us in this hall can make this organization leaner and more efficient and more effective, more responsive to wishes and needs of its members, and more realistic in its goals and commitments. Only then. So here he actually pulled a sneaky move. It started out with that if, and then he said, then and only then. What does that mean? It's actually a double arrow, for which all this stuff could be on the left, could be on the right. So here's one side. I'm going to keep going, though. We'll worry about the dyads in a minute. Then and only then we'll be able to serve both this organization's high purpose and the planet's best interests. Well, all that is definitely on one side of the double arrow. What are we doing with all of this? All of this here is all on... Here it's the left side, but again, lefts and rights when it comes to double arrows is kind of arbitrary. All of this is going on one side of the double arrow. Now look, it's all ands, so it really doesn't matter. The left side of this, is this, like, at least here, is this dyadic? Yeah, it is. The left side is dyadic. The whole thing is not dyadic just yet because I've got three parts. I end up having this thing and this thing and this thing. But no, I need, because of this, if this is dividing the whole thing, we need to make sure that it's dyadic. So what I need is one more layer out. Now, check it out. Look, for this double arrow here, this is finally dyadic. Because look, here's the left side of this big thing. Here's the right side. So this is finally dyadic. This works. I don't think I'm going to give you one this robust, but it's not as hard as it looks.
So that was doing some translations with biconditionals out of the book. What I'm going to start doing in the next video is we're going to get in some proofs with biconditionals. Namely, we're going to do number 3. See you next time.